Thank you, Speaker. I speak today of the developments and growth that are going to affect the Wollondilly electorate. These developments stretch from Wilton to Appin and were approved by a former Liberal Minister for Planning. I've met with current Minister for Planning and outlined the concerns with a long list of infrastructure not provided by the developer and referenced in the Department of Planning documents. This includes things like energy, water, wastewater, public transport, major roads, schools, community facilities, jobs and adequate exits in case of emergencies. I've written to the Premier and his Cabinet colleagues, including Ministers for Roads, Health, Education, Emergency Services, Environment, Roads, Transport, Water and Local Government, and I look forward to the meetings with each to discuss this each as a matter of urgency. The inadequate planning of the former government should not be an excuse for this government to let things continue the way that they were, and the residents of South West Sydney deserve better than wall-to-wall houses and to be a political football pass between Liberal and Labor. While this government has approved the State Infrastructure Contribution Scheme, thanks to the former government, all the previous unstarted funds will be considered but remain unfunded, so much of Wilton went ahead with no SIC contribution. Alarmingly, to date, there is no infrastructure planned, including no high schools, no health facilities and a subpar sewer treatment service. There was going to be a possible healthcare centre attached to the commercial centre, but that too is now at risk. This commercial centre has no confirmed start date and is becoming unviable due to landowners all now planning for neighbourhood shops to be built in each of their areas. The centre was to be partially funded by a top-up contribution from all other major developers to provide employment for the residents, and guess what? No SIC and no top-up was made. Also risking the viability of jobs, there are mining leases that cover this area. These need to be repurchased back from South 32, or there are significant restrictions of building sizes, including limitation of floors. This affects the prospects of job growth and the community centres in the growth areas. So much for our promised one job for one house that was fought by myself and the councils of 2012 and 16. There are concerns of exit times from the villages of Wollondilly at present. Significant infrastructure will need to be adequately addressed to address this. Council to date has not stated it is satisfied regarding these and has not had information presented to the governing body to make comment. A report titled Wollondilly Hazard Analysis and Emergency Management Study has been commissioned and sent to the Department of Planning for commenting in December 22. While this is a council document, I have not had the chance to even cite it, as the CEO is determined to make this confidential based on advice. My community deserves the truth and deserves this report to be released today by council. By council with or without agency sign-off. Through the approval process, there has been lack of input from the elected council, and the majority of councillors have stated they have concern with the proposed developments. However, with the nomination of the single staff member to oversee the process, the advice by the CEO that the process is to remain confidential removed councillors' opportunity to raise concerns. This decision stopped councillors from even knowing what arguments to raise. While there have been environmental studies in the area, the only thing that the Cumberland Plains study area has achieved was moving pinpoints of koala audio sightings from the development-owned land to privately owned land, stopping anyone putting even a granny flat on their block, and they may be 40 acres. Not funny in a housing shortage crisis. Not one koala life has been saved as a direct result of these studies at all. Instead, it has enabled the developers to get away with just more housing. The infrastructure costs for Wilton and Appin areas are over $2.5 billion, excluding drinking water and wastewater, with the possibility to gain a maximum yield of $528 million gathered from the new SIC if the full 40,000 homes were to be paid. This would leave a deficit for the New South Wales government needs to pay over $3 billion, or close to 5 years of the entire New South Wales SIC funding for all regions added together. As far as I know, there is no government ownership of secret gooses to lay golden eggs, so where is the money going to come from? I look forward to hearing an answer from the government who now has to fix this mess.
Well, I thank the member for Wollondilly. I call the